All right, it's time where we would normally talk about WCW Saturday Night, but WWE Network did not have this episode that we were trying to watch. And as John mentioned on Friday's show, our buddy, the great Robert Silva, actually sent us the YouTube version of the show, but for whatever reason, the sound was off or not working. So we instead are going to review the Great American Bash, which would have been 6 days before this show. And we'll just talk about this show, which was really the first big show for the Bill Watts era of WCW. And it is very, this is a vast difference if you were to go back 1 year to the WCW product to see what they were doing then to what they were doing now. It is really different. Almost to like, it was in a sense, it was kind of going backwards, right? Like it was Watts saying, okay, let's rewind about 7 years, and we need to take wrestling back to what it was like in 1984, 1985.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago from, this pay-per-view in 1992, WCW was looking like WWE Light, right? Or WWF Light, because Dusty just came back from New York, and he was taking a lot of the stuff that he saw Vince was doing there when he was there, and a lot of the crazy gimmicks, and everyone was getting a gimmick, and he was missing on these gimmicks left and right. Pia News, Black Blood, Oz, etc. And Watts wanted to bring back to hard-nosed, smash-mouth pro wrestling and tough men and grudges and so yeah, definitely, and more wrestling. I mean, amateur wrestling in matches. Guys actually just actually looking like it's a contest instead of just going out there and messing around.
Which, in some of the matches, was to the benefit, and to others, it was not necessarily to their benefit.
Yeah. I mean, this pay-per-view in general, I mean, back when I was younger, I just remember being disappointed in the fact that I wish I just got a regular pay-per-view with a lot of different matches.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't understand why they decided to do this NWA stuff. I think, it's cool to have the big gold belt back, but at the same time, it's like we've already went past this. Like, it's not February 1991, or end of January 91, where it's like, oh, what, WCW and this and that, and I think we're by a year later we're fine. Hey, it's WCW. This is what our championships look like, and
yeah,
I don't know. And you said that Watts didn't really want to do I think in your research that Watts really didn't want to do this tournament.
I think a lot of this stuff was just handed to him, and when he came in, it had already gotten kicked off, so he felt that they needed to continue doing it. But within this time frame, they get like you said, the NWA title back from Flair, and they win it in the injunction or whatever it was, and then they have to pay Flair, right? Because they're holding the money that he puts down for the title, and so he gets that money back.
Nice little payday.
But then on this show, Bill Watts talks about the NWA singles tournament. So I don't know if the building was booked in New Japan for New Japan, so he had to go through with this, but it's not like this thing was already in progress when he took over. So they are doing a second tournament in August in Japan, and they named a bunch of wrestlers, and I think there was one that Meltzer had mentioned that was like a replacement.
Jim Neidhart?
Yeah, it was Neidhart. Who did he replace?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
It may have replaced Vader, actually.
Was Vader in it?
I think Vader and Ron Simmons were originally in it.
Oh, yeah. We probably, Watts didn't want that to happen because of what was going to happen later. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe New Japan was like, hey, we'll take it. And, we'll use this to crown, to really push Masahiro Chono, because we're definitely going to be ascending him to the main event status. Or I don't know. I thought it was fine if they were going to unify the titles right soon, but they didn't. And like I said, I'd rather have it'd be fun. I should have talked about this before, but it would have been fun to say, hey, we should have done is made our own bash cards. And then present it here on the show. We should have done that. But same thing with Starrcade in 1989 with the Iron Man tournaments, the tag team tournaments. I like the Iron Man idea, I just don't like it for Starrcade. I like Battle Bowl idea, I just don't like it for Starrcade. So same thing here. God, it's we wasted a whole pay-per-view, and with and that crowd there, honestly, wasn't there for the tag team tournament. They were there for one match and one match only, and that was for Sting versus Vader for the WCW title. That's what they were been invested in by watching their TV.
So a couple of other little tidbits of information. So no Paul Lee and no Missy Hyatt on this show.
Yeah, I don't know why Watts and Paul Heyman always had issues, or they didn't get along or something. I just think,
I'm sure it had something to do with the fact that Watts probably thought Dangerously overpaid. Or Heyman was overpaid, right?
Yeah. Well, he was, unfortunately, a lot of people, he's going to get heat for this, but that's his job. It's he had to come in not only just to, book and create a product that's going to draw ratings on television, etc., and pay-per-view buys, but he's also there to fix this budget that kind of got out of control with Kip Fry and I don't know if Hurd really signed too many people to these crazy contracts. I remember the famous one was he kept giving raises to the Midnight Express, and Cornette kept getting more and more money or something like that. So, but yeah, he was there to kind of because they weren't making much money, or they wanted to get out of the red, and he was there to try to cut the corners, and he had to be the bad guy, but that's his job.
So, like you mentioned, he's trying to cut guys, and he's trying to get them to take nightly deals. And the problem with that for the talent is if you get hurt, you don't make any money. The guaranteed deals that some of the guys had signed, he's really upset at some of those, specifically someone like Brian Pillman, right? And I think maybe the strategy is to make certain folks so unhappy that they don't want to be there, so that he can release them from those deals. Morale is supposedly pretty low at this time because of the belief that wrestlers want security first and foremost, right? Like if they're going to get paid to wrestle and they sign a contract, there's some security there that would be something that allows them to not be so anxiety ridden all the time. And he wants the opposite. He would rather these guys work nightly deals so that, if they are great, then he'll just raise the nightly deal. And if they suck, then he just doesn't have to pay them anymore. And then they leave. So interesting sort of, GM versus talent kind of thing going on. And what was the other thing that I had? That might be it.
Brian Pillman and him too. You think Brian Pillman's like a Watts guy, right? I mean, hardworking, football background, good worker in the ring, super talented. You think he's that's I mean, maybe I think it's just simply the contract, right? He's just looking at the numbers, but at the same time, it's he probably makes a little bit more than probably what he's really worth. But at the same time, he's a phenomenal guy to have in your locker room, phenomenal guy to have on the card. It's I would, unfortunately, don't put heat on Brian for the contract that he signed with the people before us. Cut it somewhere else. Cut freaking Van Hammer. Sorry, Van Hammer, but I think Watts liked Hammer because I think he kind of pushed him a little bit. So made the height.
Okay, so this show starts with the tournament. Now the Gordy and Williams have a little bit of an advantage here, right?
Yeah, because they won their match at the Clash, the semi.
So they have one less match than everybody else, or than the if you're going to go to the finals, because they already have advanced to the next round. So first match starts. It's Ricky the Dragon and Nikita against Jushin Liger and Brian Pillman. In this match, because it was NWA rules, you could come off the top rope, and that it's kind of, I guess maybe I don't know how this played into the booking, but Pillman's high flyingness kind of works against him in this match, and it causes them to lose as Steamboat, he hits a high cross off the top rope, and Steamboat rolled through and gets the pin. I thought it was okay, but if you tell me in 1992 that there's a match with Ricky Steamboat, Jushin Liger, and Brian Pillman in it, I don't care if it's Nikita, I don't care if it's I'm trying to think of a really bad wrestler. But with
Nikita's
those
not bad though.
Nikita is pretty one-dimensional at this point. He's pretty one-dimensional. But I would think like, oh man, we're gonna get something great, and it was good, but I don't think it ever reached any level of where I was like, okay, this is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, the story is that Steamboat and Nikita wrestles this long match between these two smaller guys, and they took a lot out of them, right? Took a lot to beat these guys, a lot of energy. So when they get their match, the semifinal match with Doc and Gordy, like they're exhausted, right? They've already been through us. Like I think this match went over 15 minutes, I believe.
It was 19.
Yeah. 20 20-minute match. So there's a disadvantage. Not only the team they're facing had basically a bye on the show, they also just wrestled 20 minutes. So yeah, it's to protect Steamboat and Nikita because they were definitely losing, obviously.
In the second match, you had Hiroshi Hase against and Shinya Hashimoto against the Freebirds. And this is what I was talking about, where this version of the Freebirds, when you make it an athletic competition like you said, it does not work to their advantage. And so this match was not really much. The Japanese team wins the match and moves on to the next round.
That's the first time I've seen Shinya Hashimoto. This is, as a kid, I'm talking about. I've seen, of course, many times after that, but did not realize I liked him. But I didn't realize wow, this guy was going to be a big time star in Japan. Hase I already knew from the year before with the stuff with the Steiner brothers. But this is definitely a lot better match than Freebirds versus Silver King and Texana from the Clash, which I still recommend people. If you want a good chuckle, definitely watch that match.
Dustin and Barry Windham against Rick Rude and Stunning Steve. I will say I was also disappointed in this match. It just was so slow, lots of holds, but with the talent involved, right? And we have this Austin and Barry Windham thing that they just did a whole big thing about on one of the Saturday nights. And I didn't really feel like, that was... I thought that was actually going to carry the match, but I didn't really feel like it did. Rick Rude really upset that they lost the match. And... I don't know, just another one where I would have said, if you told me these are the four guys in this match, I'm like, okay, I'm really excited, and I feel like they underdelivered.
The crowd got up a little bit for this match, but at the same time, they knew these people are like, why are we having this tournament for these tag titles when we already have tag champions? So, but I think this match has different crowd reaction, a lot more excitement if you do Rick Rude versus Barry Windham and as a singles, and then Dustin Rhodes and Steve Austin as singles, or you can flip flop Dustin and Barry. Doesn't matter. I think it'd be a different story when it comes to people, the fans, because the fans a lot of times they were respectful, but they didn't really get up for anything until it was Sting and Vader.
I still love Austin in this time frame. I still think he just looks like he looks like the future of wrestling when you watch him. And
he was.
and he would be.
He would.
become, but just not in WCW.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I mean, 2 years ago, I thought he was 2 years is 92, so 2 years, 1990. If watching USWA with his feud with Chris Adams, I thought, wow, this guy, he had something, great look, and he's so good. He's such a good wrestler, and but he's still progressing. He's still like on to the next level. He's still like, the TV title. He, like I said, like in '94, we talked about this on Twitter. Like '94 is like really, I could see like, man, this guy, he could be the next Ric Flair of this company.
Yeah, totally. So then we had Dr. Death and Terry Gordy against Steamboat and Koloff, and again, what you said with the more realistic style, I think that really hurt the Dragon. And, really, if this match is going to work, he's got to be in it most of the way. And they made the hot tag to Koloff, but then Steamboat comes back in and he's got to lose the match. I don't know, just another one where I'm just like, the amount of talent in the ring did not actually equal a really good wrestling match.
They try to tell a story where the big powerhouse guys wearing down the team that's already wrestled, right? And it was a lot of grappling. I mean, good grappling. I mean, I like that, but at the same time, I just like not what the crowd was wanting. Like they're just waiting for Sting and Vader. I could just tell, and they didn't want another long match here. They just didn't want it, and
that's the story of this whole show.
Yeah,
like, there wasn't the only match that was under 10 minutes is the match with the Freebirds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything was so long, and I think long matches for stuff that's people don't really care about this NWA tournament, and but the match is fine.
Imagine taking the Steiners out of this show.
They did get up when the Steiners showed up at the finals, but it's a good match if you're just looking at the match, but it could have been a great match if under different circumstances.
So then we have Rhodes and Wyndham against Hashimoto and Hase. This was good. It was totally fine. Oh, you knew that the Japanese guys weren't winning this match. Mm-hmm. So that made it very predictable. But watching this match, you're looking at Dustin and Barry, and tall guys with leverage, thin. It's like Dustin. What's Dustin's? If Dustin reaches his peak, he could be Barry Windham.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. I don't know if he necessarily got there, though. He became a bigger star because of Goldust than Barry. But from a wrestling standpoint, like that's his apex, right? So you have like Barry Windham and a young Barry Windham. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that dynamic about this match. And it was good. It was better than the previous ones, I thought.
Dustin was in shape for this show. He looked good. I think it's one of the best he's looked since joining WCW time. Like he had some muscle. I always liked this team of Barry and Dustin. They just complement each other so well, and they end up having a really good match later in the year, which I'm looking forward to watching again. It's one of my favorite television matches. With Doc and Gordy. So, yeah. I mean, this match is fine. Hase and Hashimoto both can work, with the U.S. guys, no problem. Hase, is one of the best wrestlers of all time, inside that ring. So, yeah, it was fine.
And then we had a barn burner with Vader and Sting.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool because, so Vader's obviously this killer, and this obviously Vader's going to win this match. Mm-hmm. But Sting comes out like a house on fire.
Yeah.
Just like on fire throughout. And it was almost like he wanted to prove that I don't know what he was trying to prove, but I just thought he came out and had a dynamite match. Did everything, did power. Vader went up for him on stuff.
Oh yeah.
He does this thing where Sting has Vader on his back, and he's kind of like, or on his shoulders, and he's like trying to like just go from like a little bit of a bent knee position to a straight leg so that he could dump him on his back. I thought that was awesome. Really fun match. But stiff, there was some stiff moments, but nothing that you would normally see on WCW, and actually probably more like a match that you would see if these guys had it in Japan.
Sting did tremendous job here of making Vader. I mean, fans at this time, U.S. fans at least, they thought he was Vader was, oh man, look, he's intimidating, he's a big guy, but they didn't really understand the history, right? How much of a draw he was in Japan, and he's been on the world, and they didn't really understand the international stuff. But so this is the match that really got over Vader. This right here, this was perfect. Sting did a great job. I love the opening minutes of him just being right off the bat, just overpowered, and just Vader just clocking him with those hard forearm shots, and Sting would get some momentum, but then get cut off. I love this match. This match, I was one of my favorites. It's not my favorite of their series. I feel their match at Starrcade 92 is just a little bit better, but I just love the idea that this monster came in and just cleanly, they gave Sting an out with the finish a little bit, but for the most part, it was a straight, clean, decisive win by a heel, monster champion and monster heel. So I loved it, and I like this match here. I loved it so much that I wanted to recreate it in a way. When I was booking All Pro Wrestling, I had a wrestler named Dylan Drake, and he was, when I took the book over, he was just a mid-card guy, just kind of debuted, but he's tall, good-looking, great personality. He had wrestling ability. He can sell, and he can have nice comebacks. So I was like, oh man, this is the guy I'm going to build around. He's going to be my Sting / Magnum TA, right? And so, not only that, to build him up from the ground up, because now I had to make him an incredible challenger into a champion, to win the championship from a credible champion, which I accomplished all that. But, the most important thing about when you create a new champion or a new star or new top guy is you need to follow up, right? They need to keep the momentum going. So what I did was I'm going to have this guy be a champion for a very long time. Usually, APW before that, we kept taking the belt so fast. But I made Dylan 11 months champion. And I always thought, how is it going to end? And I remember thinking, I want to end like Vader Sting, Bash 92. I want to just, he's gone through everyone, and all of a sudden he runs into a wall, right? And so there's two guys up for this spot. And one was a guy named Dalton Frost. His name was Drake Frost. I called him Dalton Frost, gave him the whole Stan Hansen gimmick, and it was pretty awesome. And there's another guy named Malachi who used to hang out with the Reno Scum guys, really big, badass guy. And he won out just because Malachi's an interesting character. He was not really focused. Before he in and out. One time he'd be focused on wrestling, he's really passionate about it, then he'd kind of fall off a little bit. But he was focused for a long time. And I was like, okay, this is time to pull a trigger on. And I remember I did it on a show. I like to do weird things and different things. We have two shows at APW. We have Halloween Havoc and we have Christmas Chaos, right? Those are our big, I guess you're...
It's called Halloween Havoc?
Oh, sorry, Halloween Hell. God, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Halloween Hell. I'm in the WCW, man. Halloween Hell was our big October show, which is probably our big, aka WrestleMania kind of show, right? And then Christmas Chaos was, just below that. I changed the title in November. And because a lot of people would that show would be the show that drew less, because nothing's gonna happen on the November show because it's either gonna happen in October or December. And that night we didn't draw as much as we normally did for October and December. But I did that for a reason. One, because I wanted people to be go, oh shit, I missed it. I can't miss any shows now on, right? And I wanted that, that's what I wanted. I can't miss. And also wanted to, and that's what happened. Dylan wrestled Malachi. It was about 9-minute match, and he just got big booted and pinned, and people were like, "Holy cow! I can't believe Dylan Drake lost like that!" Right? Same thing here. When I was a kid, I'll never forget this. I always talk to my friend Chad Ing when I grew up. Of course, this is another classic. Gave Chad a VHS tape. He's recording it. His dad Ron's pissed. We're shooting hoops in the front, and I didn't even watch anything. I just waited till the tape was over, got it, and went home. And I couldn't believe that Sting lost. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe when I saw Vader hit that power bomb and see Sting laid out like that. Oh my God! To me, I liked Vader. I thought he looked cool, but to me that made him oh my God, this guy I have to pay attention to, right? Sorry for a long story there, but this is this match is so important to me, and it holds up great today.
Okay, so here's a question about Sting. Obviously, he's the champion, and so that's why it's a little bit weird in the way that it works here, because he is not chasing Vader here. He's the champ, actually, and he's kind of like the underdog champion, which is an interesting story. If Sting, okay, let's say that Flair leaves, and instead of Luger, Sting is chasing this version of Van Vader, because how great Vader is and how destructive he is and how almost, he almost looks unbeatable in a sense, the way that they book him. If that version of Vader is who Sting conquers and climbs the mountaintop and beats, I wonder if his career as the champion in those, early 90s of WCW is a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. That would be great stuff. I mean, I always thought they should have booked that. They kind of, in 93, he does beat Vader, but it's like in Europe, and they don't show footage of it, and it's only like a 6-day reign, or not that, maybe 3 days or something like that. And, like he got his big win, which will come later in the year, but it wasn't for the title. It was for some, tournament that really didn't, mean anything. And they even brought that tournament back.
King of Cable?
Yes.
The King of Cable.
But that match is fantastic, and Sting finally gets his big win over Vader.
They pretty much always had great matches.
Yeah. And they end up continuing on wrestling more and more and throughout 93 and 94. But like that was like the big win, was that Starrcade 92 for Sting over Vader. Sting also, you can is kind of a guy that's, when I say like the Undertaker, I mean he's like a gimmick, right? The face paint, he's popular. The belt, he doesn't need the belt to be popular, or the belt helps people, right? Sting doesn't need that help. Vader needed it for United States. The man who beats Vader in a couple weeks, spoiler alert, he needed it, right? He needed it. We'll talk more about the next reign coming up, but Watts knew that. Watts knew that Sting, he will be fine, right? But I need this belt to help another main event I want to create. And it would have been better. It wasn't the person he picked that was wrong. I think it was the lack of challengers that was the problem.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so the main event of this show is Doc and Gordy beating Dustin and Barry to win the NWA Tag Title. At this point,
people are
after we just saw this great match, they then go 21 minutes to end this show
for a championship no one cares about, right? But they got into it towards the end, though. The last few minutes they get into it, but yeah, I know. Like, see, if it was just this match, it was just Barry and I know I already booked them to wrestle Rude and Steve Austin singles match, but say you had different matches for those guys. Mm-hmm. But if you just had this as a tag title match, right? I think people would have been into it, but it's on its own. But damn it should have been Steiners versus Doc and Gordy here's rematch. That's what damn sure should have been, man. The people wanted it. They came out. Steiners come out to kind of, I don't know why they're so pissed, because they lost via clean at the Omni on July 5th. So I don't know. They're just, Bill Watts is really selling that. Oh, something's going to happen. And sure enough, they just came out and they got taken away.
They got sent.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got sent back.
Yeah. So that was definitely a switch cut bait on, switch bait on us on that one. So
so I can remember, I am, let's see, I'm 16. I am just at the year before I was at my peak of wrestling fandom, because I just realized that there was, these talk shows and these newsletters where they talked about stuff. And so I'm still pretty high in my fandom, though it is waning. I'm a junior in high school or whatever, so, or actually a sophomore, but my wrestling is going to start being not as important to me as it was just a few years earlier, but I'm still really on top of this stuff. So my whole thing going into this WCW was, I can't wait because from everything I know, Bill Watts is the guy.
Yeah.
And if anybody can compete with Vince, it's going to be Bill Watts. And so I'm so excited for him to come in. And then, he makes the changes that we talked about last week, the commandments. And I was like, well, okay. Well, I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then this show, I was just disappointed. And I wasn't disappointed like I was in Great American Bash 91. Like that's a whole different disappointment, right? I was disappointed because my expectations were so high in what he was going to be able to do. And, I don't think he fulfilled anybody's expectations, really. Like, the product was smarter, and dumb stuff happened less, and the matches were more realistic, for sure. But the reason why I watch wrestling and the excitement and the bigger-than-life stuff that I enjoyed was absolutely missing from this version of Bill Watts' product.
Yeah, the spontaneity, the stuff that just like on UWF television, like things just happen at a rapid pace. Like things lead into another thing. There's a big angle here. There's chaos. Blah blah blah. Like here, I mean, you had glimpses and moments, but like, I just think he never really captured it. I think maybe because of 2 hours of television, and he felt like they need to have longer matches. Because like with an hour, he just jam packed stuff. But I think he could have done that too with 2 hours. That maybe that second hour you just go crazy with all the wild stuff, and the first hour is a couple good matches. And I don't know. Yeah, I know it was a disappointment, definitely. I mean, unlike you, I looked at it like I just knew like from pictures of the UWF on the old magazines I was able to collect and get from other people, and I remember being just really excited because I saw the blood and I saw all the wildness that the UWF product was about. So I was hoping to get it here. I did a little bit, but it's just funny how you said you're like so into wrestling in your high school. I was into it too, but I was like the only guy. Like, I don't know how I was able to keep my social life out. Be a wrestling fan and have a social life after. I mean, I don't know. I made it work, and I rarely ever talked to it. Other than my friend Chad knew I had to tape it. He's the only one that really knew that I talked to it about, which is really funny. I mean, he didn't really care.
It was just me and Edson, really.
Well, at least you had someone. I mean, Chad just kind of. I think Chad at the time, you just kind of like, okay, cool, you're still into this.